It's too early to bring me a dragon.
What is up, guys? Flippin' Steve here in the 302. And what a better way for a part-time card flipper to start their day than to get two notifications. A sale. I have to ship out the Joe Burrow red, white, and blue Prism. And mail. Only expecting one package, and we got a bonus.
No, not a milk bonus.
You guys here on the channel know how I love the beach and the shore and my connection with my grandfather and my uncle. This painting here behind me hung in my grandparents' living room ever since I was a very little kid and could remember. It's a painting of the beach. My grandfather loved going fishing and taking me as well. Not long before he passed away, he called me and said, "Stevie, I would like for you to come around and get this painting because I want you to have it." So there it is. You've seen it in the background every now and then here on the channel. I just thought I would explain the meaning of it to you guys. And these jars over here, my wife and I aren't heavy drinkers. We don't drink much at home. Occasionally, socially out, we'll have a beverage, and we'll have people over to the house. So we've made this infused vodka in these jars. This is a blueberry lavender and like a blood orange cinnamon clove. We've infused these and they're gonna rest in here for a couple days, but they've already changed color. Not 100% sure who will drink this stuff, but it would be good when we have guests over. If you guys remember a week or two ago, I acquired this off VeriSwap in a trade for a Trey Lance. The Trey Lance card I had bought at Atlanta Culture Collision for $80. This sold on eBay for $100, so I'm going to net about $85. So this card is going to pull me even on the deal. However, included in that was a cracked red ice of Justin Herbert in a raw form that has been sent to PSA. So now that Justin Herbert will be 100% profit. I mentioned that quite a bit on the channel, where if you can get out of a card that'll be a little bit tougher to move, like a Trey Lance, into quarterbacks like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert that are highly liquid, to go ahead and do it. It may take a little bit more time because you have to wait for shipping and things like that. But at the end of the day, it'll be a quicker deal because those cards will sell faster, where Trey Lance isn't necessarily going to sell or see any kind of hype unless he gets a starting job. And we all know that that's a long ways away. It is a shame that it's such a nice day out here in the 302. And I got to make a decision. Either I'm going to go to the gym for an hour, or I could take Crazy Daisy out in this beautiful weather. I know what I would rather do, but what would be the smarter thing to do? Oh no, she's giving me the look. Headed out to the gym, and before you guys can even comment, "Steve, how could you do this?"
Bring me his head.
Don't worry, I'm going to try to find some time for the dingus before I go to work. Now, what this brings me to is a topic that I want to discuss, and that's finding balance. Now, you guys know here on the channel, I talk about balancing my sports card flipping with my job, with my family, you know, with my life. The way that I want to discuss balance today is going to be within sports cards, and some people may refer to balance as diversity. I like to say balance. But whether it's diversity or balance to you, and whether it's applying to the players that you're buying, the cards that you're buying, it could be prospects versus other prospects. It could be prospects versus Hall of Famers. It could be one sport versus another sport. It could be high end versus low end. It could be multiple different types of factors within cards that people say you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. You want to be diversified or balanced. That way, if something comes crashing down and it's all that you have, you don't have anything to help you rebound. It is a true notion, and it is something that I do believe in. And I find the best way to limit a loss is to have wins to cushion. I mentioned it in a past video, so I kind of want to elaborate. You saw when I took a loss on the LeBron James solar eclipse, but I had a win on a Kyler Murray Panini one, and it was pretty much washed each other out. It ended up only being a $60 loss, as opposed to close to a $200 loss or a $175 loss. And that is because I had a lower end card that I was able to sell for profit to cushion the loss on a high end card that I took a beating on. The way that I like to approach this right now is that I've been doing a lot of prospecting on football quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson Thrillers, white parallel, numbered out of 149. This is my third copy of the white. Two of them are at PSA. Hopefully this one doesn't have the surface dimples that these cards tend to come with. They look amazing though. But you guys have seen some of my mail where every now and then I will have sprinkled in either a Hall of Famer. This Troy Aikman Gold Refractor, Topps Finest, out of 300. This here is what I call a pivot card, and I'll be discussing that in the next video. Or an established player in the league. A sweet visionary Patrick Mahomes insert that just came in the mail, and a pro mold. What have I done right? And what that does is, with the established players, you're not typically going to have big gainers on those unless you buy an ultra rare card that's going to be a little expensive and it grades out well for you. But if you're buying them already slabbed, you're going to have the plan and the mindset of, I'm going to have to hold this card, especially if it's rare and it doesn't comp often, probably 3 months or so until the comp is either no longer visible or no longer valid because it's considered old. So you already got to have that mindset that a lot of your insurance policy type cards are going to be a little bit of a longer hold. They're not going to have as many windows to sell at a profit as, say, a prospect does. However, they're also not going to give you chances at risky beatdowns that a prospect card will give you. A lot of times for myself, I like to pick 2 or 3 undeveloped players and undervalued players, and I like to risk some money on them. And then I like to put my money into established players that are always going to have a fan base with high collectability. Again, that's always going to be key because regardless of what happens with a lot of these players, they're always still going to be very liquid in the market and give you a chance at having bounce back profit in case you take a loss on a prospect. And most of the time, the high risk cards are going to be where your larger money is made. It's going to also be where you tend to typically take losses. Now, I know what you're saying. You took a loss on a LeBron James card. Yes, I did. But again, that was high end versus low end. That wasn't necessarily a prospect versus an established player. That does prove my point that the small wins will soften some of your losses. 45 minutes in the gym today, not too long, because like I said, I'm going to try to balance my time. Purposely left my mail package at home to give me a reason to come back out. But first, I will be needing some of this broccoli. And this chicken. Went downtown, picked up some Yardbird, farm raised, Marsh Creek Cattle and Company.
Where's the beef?
Just finished a card evaluation session. Remember, you want to remove your peel from these cards that have these protective covers on them. It doesn't hurt the grade to do so. In fact, it helps the grade because if they can't grade through the seal, they're going to grade the seal as if it has scratches or anything on it, even though that may not necessarily be on the card. It's a shame when you're evaluating a card that's 24 years old and the quality control is better than the stuff that they're making now. I have no idea how a card like this is going to grade with all the perforated edges. It's like a die cut. And the surface, you know, just not familiar. A lot of this stuff was being graded back in the day. It's not super duper what familiar to look for. True test. 1 for 4 on these Thriller cards as far as having dimples. This one's looking pretty clean though, feeling lucky, which means this will rebound the others. There's not a lot that can cause these to be damaged out of the pack. Typically, if the centering and the surfaces are right on these, they'll grade out. So this should be a rebound card. Depends on how tough PSA wants to be. I'll be able to reuse this. The condition on this patty is super encouraging. If this one grades a 10, be one of the better cards in the order. You're always going to have a couple duds. You just hope that they're going to be on some of the less important cards. Cards like this one, you really want to carry your returns. 3 cards coming up that I picked up in Philly. I evaluated these with the naked eye at the show. The lighting in there was good, but I didn't carry a magnifier with me. Hopefully, I didn't miss any small scratches. It's very easy to miss small things when you don't have a magnifier. The year 2000 card is really old. Wouldn't be surprised to find a scratch or a flaw or something on it. This is one of the cleanest cards that I've looked at in probably the past 3 weeks. This card is absolutely beautiful. It's hard to say that a card like this would get a 10 because it's nearly impossible with the jagged edges. Everything else about this card is just flawless. I'm going to leave this Platinum Portraits as is. These have embossed surfaces, so I don't even want to wipe it down. You ever feel like just getting a card inside of a soft sleeve is an art within itself to not damage the corners? J.J. Watt Gold Refractor. I know he's a defensive player, but it's a gold refractor, and he is a fan favorite, highly collectible, even though he's retired. Some defensive players just have good collectability. They have a strong fan base. This card is so clean. I believe I hit the jackpot on all 3 of these raw cards that I picked up in Philly. The CJ Stroud Flamethrowers red, color match out of 199. Value card, graded up in a PSA 10 though. It'll be desirable to someone. Another one of those cards that is just a cushion. You know, if I can buy this cheap and get it graded in a 10, make a little bit of profit off of it, then it's a cushion card that hopefully I won't need as a cushion. I'm going to end off this grading session with this Aaron Rodgers Metropolis case hit. I already submitted one of these to PSA, and I'm pretty confident in it getting a 10, and hopefully this one looks as good as the other one. A veteran thrown in with some of these more risky cards. Like I talked about earlier in the video, some players are safe, some players are risky, and you just got to balance them out. Evaluated about 10 cards. I had about 20 and I have about 10 more on the way. But like I said about balance, if I do too many cards at one time, I'll get burned out. I'll miss flaws and have oversights. But I'll do 10 now. I'll catch up on the other 10 in a day or two. And then as the ones arrive in the mail, I'll get on them. I definitely don't want 30 cards piling up on me. To get back on topic and to wrap up this video, there is nothing wrong with the slow grind of buying low-end cards and just making your 10, 20, 30, even $50 profits here and there. There's also nothing wrong with the people who like to risk it for the biscuit and do nothing but deal in high end and take your big wins and take your big losses. But someone who is a hybrid and kind of sits in the middle, for me, I really like to capitalize on the bigger sales, the mid to high end, to push my profits, because I like a little bit more of an instant gratification than the slow grind, and I don't have as much time for the slow grind because of my job, and I don't necessarily do this for a living, and I can't set up at shows and things like that. So to reiterate, for me, I like to deal in the lower end to give me wins. It's great if those wins stay as wins, but I really like to have them to cushion my fall when I try to sell a bigger card and it just doesn't work out the way I want it to work out. And I guess Daisy agrees with me. Again, this is just a day in the life of what I do, and none of my opinions are forced on you guys. This is just the way that I like to hobby. So you guys do what makes you comfortable, do what makes you profits, and do what helps you build your collection. Regardless of what happens, you'll be happy. I would like to add, guys, I have been cleared for the National. If you have followed the content, you know that I wasn't sure if or how long I was going to be able to make it to Cleveland this year, but I have been cleared to go. We are going to start working on the giveaway. If you're new to the channel, I have given away a trip to the National 3 years in a row, and this will make 4. So get on board. We're going to start working towards a National giveaway. Pay attention to the content, and make sure come trivia night that you know your answers. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.
Oh, that chicken cooked up good.